A recent survey found that 48% of young Australians believe in an afterlife, and a further 28% said that they're open to the possibility. And that was a bit surprising to some people who'd assumed that the growing number of people in Australia who identified as having no religion meant that those people didn't believe that there was anything beyond what we can physically see and touch in this life. A bigger question though than do you believe in an afterlife is, well, what do you mean by an afterlife? In this series, the good place is where everything you've ever desired in this life is free for you. So you get to live with your soulmate, you get to eat your favourite foods and engage in your favourite activities. The problem is, this good place ultimately becomes boring, with all the joy of newness sucked out of it, and the prospect of it going on forever takes away people's enthusiasm for life. To see how the writers of the show solve the problem, you'll just need to watch the series. But there are some stereotypes that people have about what Christians and the Bible say about the afterlife. Firstly, that it's literally afterlife. We don't actually live in a phase of existence called life and then another phase called afterlife or death. Life and death aren't defined so much by a time frame, but by where we stand in terms of relationship to God. True life is knowing the one true God and all the goodness that flows from him. Death is to be separated from him and his goodness, to know God only as he is turned away from us. Second stereotype is that the afterlife is something purely spiritual, kind of a shadowy and vague existence once we've discarded our bodies and left this world. That's the popular idea of going to heaven when I die, as if heaven is some totally other non-material place away from this universe. Well, the Bible presents a much more solid and tangible and wonderful vision. Because God made this universe and everything in it and said of it, it is good, his aim is not to take us out of it or to even bring an end to it and replace it with something spiritual. Instead, the ultimate hope for Christians is not going to heaven, but being resurrected. This is an idea that's unique to the Bible. If any other religion has the idea of resurrection, they've borrowed it from the Bible. In the afterlife, I will still be fully and truly me, still a person, still with a body, and still living in God's good creation. What will be different, though, is that all that makes this world dangerous and sorrowful and tedious will once and for all be removed. And all that makes this world beautiful and joyful and life-giving won't merely continue as it is, but will be raised to a level where every single moment will resonate with delight in what is and an anticipation of what is to come. So no one will ever be bored. No one will ever want it to end. But that's just a small part of it. The Bible says that now we live by faith in what is promised, but what we do not yet see. And what is promised is this: look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. The ultimate pleasure and fulfillment of the afterlife will be found in God himself, an intimacy with him that we can only now begin to imagine. The joy and the pleasure of living in a renewed world will be one part of life, but greater than that will be this fulfillment of knowing God. Well, what of those, though, who have rejected this promise by rejecting Jesus? Well, simply imagine, if you can, of all that is opposite to that life of knowing God and the goodness of his creation. It's described by Jesus himself as outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. It will be the culmination of death that we know in part if we are still without hope or God in this world. So that means that life begins here and now for anyone who knows God through Jesus. And death continues now for anyone who doesn't know him. These two conditions, life or death, will continue beyond the grave, the milestone that we call death. And whether we continue in life or in death will be contingent on whether or not we've trusted in Jesus on this side of the grave. Now, there still remains a question. What about the in-between time between when I physically die and this renewal of creation happens at Jesus' return? Well, the Bible doesn't tell us a lot about that, which means we don't actually need to know all of the details. But it assures us that anyone who has trusted in Jesus, who dies, is with him, is secure, and is also waiting along with us for that time of the resurrection.